Hello everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com and well, good news and bad news. Good news is, obviously football's coming home. Bad news, hay fever's really bad. It's a really polleny, really sunny day. So even though, are my eyes bad? No, I can do this without the sunglasses on. Basically, it is my favourite time of the week, but I'm feeling a little bit stuffy. But I'll do my best to power through as we take a look at every single goddamn one of my wrestlers of the week. Now this was a ludicrously hard week to pick, harder even than usual, so there's so many honourable mentions, I'm gonna read them off a list. I apologise for that, but anyway, Becky Lynch didn't make the list even though she put in an excellent performance in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match and should have won. My heart aches, it bleeds. Elias, really good Intercontinental Championship match. Hiromu Takahashi defended his junior heavyweight title against El Desperado in New Japan Pro Wrestling promotion. Dolph Ziggler won the Intercontinental Championship but doesn't make it on the list. It was too stacked the week. Braun Strowman, Mr. Money in the Bank, or Monster in the Bank. Again, it's really difficult to leave these people off. Hideo Itami, really good on 205 Live. Daniel Bryan, all the guys in the NXT tag match or TakeOver. Rusev, who of course became the #1 contender on SmackDown. So yeah, I mean, it's been a really difficult week. I will point out as well that all the performances over the 2 days of the WWE UK Championship Tournament are not included this week. They'll be taken into consideration next week once I've actually watched the bloody goddamn show. So without any further ado, let's crack on and take a look at my number 10. At my number 10, guys. Just chill, yeah? That was the cringy. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going. Number 10 is Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Ronda Rousey, who again proved to us all that she's just a natural. She's just really good at professional wrestling. She had an excellent match against Nia Jax. Well, I don't know if it was an excellent match, but it was certainly very good. She again proved that she's just picked up loads of stuff that it takes people a long time to pick up. That crossbody I'm thinking about, yes, she nearly fell off the top rope during it, but she managed to right herself and actually added to the drama of the spot. She hit an insane judo, hip throw kind of thing on Nia Jax. It was amazing. Obviously, she's an Olympic level judoka, so you shouldn't be too surprised. And then, she wouldn't have made it on the list, I don't think, just for that performance at Money in the Bank because it was quite a short match, but on Monday Night Raw, she turned into the female Stone Cold Steve Austin, battering Alexa Bliss, battering Kurt Angle with the Money in the Bank briefcase. It was truly something, and yes, she's been suspended for 30 days, but that just makes her a bit of a naughty anti-hero babyface, and we love her even more for it. So well done, Ronda Rousey. 1 point to you. Yes, she's going to be something special, guys. I can totally tell. Trust my judgment. Number 2, Sethy Roll. My boy Seth Rollins had 2 excellent matches this week. He had a fantastic Intercontinental Championship match against Elias at Money in the Bank, where I think it was the best Elias match I've ever seen. Obviously, Rollins was at the top of his game as per usual, selling the knee when he inevitably jammed it midway through the match, and just pulling out all the stops to make Elias look like a really credible contender. He then pulled the tights, not the tights, like Elias's sort of chinos, he pulled them to secure the pinfall with a roll-up, which was a bit heelish, and I was thinking, ooh, how is this going to pay off? I hope it does pay off. I hope it doesn't just, never get mentioned again. I hope there's some continuity, and lo and behold, there bloody was. There actually was continuity. I felt like I was watching Game of Thrones when on Monday Night Raw, Dolph Ziggler pulled Seth Rollins' tights to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Wow, what a turn of events. And I must say, it's been a good, if slightly brief Intercontinental Championship reign for Seth Rollins, but he's really helped re-establish the belt as an upper mid-card title. Dolph, do not screw this up. Do not screw this up. And by the way, lurking in the shadows, like Iago in Shakespeare's Othello, why did I throw that reference in, is Drew McIntyre. I think all the pieces are falling into place for him to turn on Ziggler, scoop the belt for himself, and progress up to the main event scene. I mean, maybe it won't, but I think that's what's going down. Number 8, I've realised that I told a little tiny lie, just a little one, in the opening bit when I talked about the honourable mentions, because number 8 is one of the guys in that NXT tag match that opened the show at TakeOver. Oni Lorcan. Look at him. Looks so unassuming. I mean, it goes to show that you can share all the traits of Steve Austin, you can be bold, you can have a basic look, and yet you can still not really look like an ass kicker. But crucially, when he steps in the ring, Oni Lorcan is an absolute ass kicker. That dem diving European uppercuts, dough. That's how the children talk these days, isn't it? I'm really sad that I couldn't squeeze everyone in that match onto this list because it was truly fantastic. I even kind of wanted to put Adam Cole on as well. He wasn't an official participant in the match, but he is so over. One of the most over guys on NXT. And all he really did in that match was make his entrance, play a bit of air guitar next to Kyle O'Reilly, and then break up one pinfall, I think. But the crowd were hot for him. But no, this is about Oney Lorcan, who really excelled in the match alongside Danny Burke and really proved once again why he's one of the most underrated guys in all of wrestling. Dave Meltzer even said that he's the most underrated guy in the business, and it's kind of hard to disagree. So well done, Oney Lorcan, a newcomer to the list, welcome, and hopefully this opens the door for more opportunities for Mr. Lorcan in the future. Really good stuff. Number 7 could be a controversial one. Take deep breaths, remain chill, because it's Alexa Bliss, who of course won the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank after cashing in the briefcase she'd won earlier in the night. A booking decision that caused a little bit of a stir online. Let's find out why. I'm trying to Millie Rock, but I can't do it. I can't. So Alexa, I guess, did put in a good performance in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, but then pretty much everyone in the match did. Even Lana, who's less experienced than the others. But I don't think if it was just on that performance, Alexa would have made, this top 10. But then her cash-in, I thought, was executed really, really well. And then she cut a great promo on Raw and acted as a nice punching bag for Ronda Rousey. I really like this. A lot of people are sick of Alexa holding, titles and stuff in the women, really dominating the women's division. But I'm gonna look at it like this, right? I think a lot of us smarky inclined folk, a lot of us smart fans on the old internet are kind of looking at the Raw Women's Championship scene as if it's the NXT title scene or one of the NXT belts. But let me break it down for y'all right now. Something's wrong with me today. I'm trying to be all down and hip with the kit. It's the cap. I'm trying to be hip. So I see NXT title scenes as more of a conveyor belt. And yes, there's twists and turns along the way, but generally it's a passing of the torch constantly over the course of a few months at a time. Whereas when you get to the main roster, those title scenes are more like, they're less of a conveyor belt and more of a pond, more of a habitat where you've got various different animals all fighting it out for the belt and stuff. And I think the Raw Women's division is pretty much the same, and I don't mind going back and putting the belt on the same champions as long as it makes sense. And I felt like this made sense, and I felt like everything Alexa did, she executed very well. So I'd understand if you disagreed with me, but I believe that Alexa fully deserves to be on the list this week. So suck my balls. No. Number 6, and the only New Japan guy this week on the list. We've had a few weeks of New Japan dominance after the Best of the Super Juniors and of course Dominion, an excellent pay-per-view pretty much from top to bottom. But this week it's pretty much been WWE and NXT dominated, as you'll see later on in the list. But Hiroki Goto makes it despite all of the WWE competition because he is a calm yet strong individual, and I think we can all learn from that, guys. Hiroki Goto won the Never Openweight Championship back from Michael Elgin so soon after losing it to him, which I found a bit of a strange booking decision, but it was a wonderful match, so I think Goto deserves his points this week. Goto is he's one of the least glamorous, least spectacular guys in terms of gimmick and character on the New Japan roster, but is one of the best wrestlers. He's so underappreciated. He's like when you and your friends are playing like Street Fighter or a fighting game or something, like probably Tekken would be the most appropriate because New Japan have a tie-in with Tekken. But he's one of those guys who you go, who are you going to pick? Oh my God, what about Goto? Do you like Goto? And your friend's like, I like Goto. I respect him. He's a really solid character actually. And you all keep thinking, oh yeah, maybe I'll be Goto. And then it gets to the fight and you go, who are you going to pick? Mate, I'm picking Kenny Omega. Goto never gets picked, bless him. But he is, once again, the Never Openweight champion. So I'm pleased for him. I'm pleased for him, you guys. And I enjoy his boring character. No, it's not boring, it's just less flashy. I enjoy his unflashy character. Great fundamentals. Number 5, this is one of the most brutal performances in the context of Wrestlers of the Week I've ever seen, and it is the phenomenal one, and still WWE Champion AJ Styles. Why is it brutal, Jack? I hear you ask. I will explain, fear not. So basically, Shinsuke Nakamura has not made it to this list because he really needed to win this match. His whole heel turn's been, you can look at it as a little bit of a waste now because he didn't eventually win the title from Styles. He's essentially just lost to his rival several times in a row, or drawn with him, or been disqualified, or whatever you want to say. So yeah, it's a shame for Nakamura, but Styles obviously had his eye on some tasty, delicious Wrestlers of the Week points because he just decided to win, mercilessly win, keep his title. It was a good match. Styles remains, very strong. He looks even stronger now as WWE Champion because he's fended off such a highly fancied opponent. And poor Nakamura's just been shoved off Wrestlers of the Week entirely, but Styles has scooped a hearty bucket load of points for himself. What a merciless man. Ruthless. Love it. Get on Wrestlers of the Week. Styles is one of those guys, yes, he's made it to the league table before, but he's only picked up little few points here and there. I think he may have even been on single figures before this week, but now he's picking up some steam, and I foresee good things in his future, especially if the feud with Rusev is good. Number 4, Ricochet, who had a wonderful NXT takeover match against the Velveteen Dream, D-R-E-A-M. Ricochet won the match. It was a really good sort of story. Both guys were trying to one-up each other. Velveteen Dream was trying to hang with Ricochet, do the high-flying stuff that Ricochet's famous for, and couldn't quite do it because obviously Ricochet's just some kind of freak. Makes me angry. He's like an X-Man. We should get rid of them. I'm like the bad guys in the X. Get rid of the high flyers. They're blessed with powers that are truly ungodly. That's the nerdiest sentence I've ever... Let's move on. Meltzer says, and I've heard him point this out a couple of times this week actually, he keeps going, yeah, it was a good match. I thought it was better than Meltzer rated it, to be honest. But Meltzer was going, yeah, it was a good match, but Ricochet is not operating at full power. It's not the true Ricochet we've seen in Lucha Underground and PWG and stuff. And I'm thinking, Meltzer, you're making Ricochet sound like some kind of Dragon Ball Z villain who hasn't yet reached his final form. Like, it's been over a decade since I've watched Dragon Ball Z. Frieza, I remember him, and he did transform into various things. That's it. Ricochet could be him, or even the big fat pink one. I can't remember its name. You know the one I mean. I'm sure the comments will go, it's you know what? Ricochet is the big fat pink one from Dragon Ball Z. No, he's not. He's bloody Frieza. Great match. Well done, Ricochet. He wins and knocks himself up a few rungs on the NXT ladder. A very highly congested ladder, if I do say so myself. If I do say so myself, I'm not on the ladder, but I'm imparting my wisdom to all of you. Lucky devils. Number 3, his opponent, the Velveteen Dream. A bit of a cool heel. One sec. I hope this doesn't mess with the microphone. Just gonna pop my collar to be cool, like a cool heel should. That is bloody awful. What a mistake. Sam, if you could just cut this whole bit out, thank you. Dream is one of those wrestlers who, despite losing sometimes, always steals the show. In every big marquee match he finds himself in, he finds a way to steal the show. He came out dressed as a combination of Hulk Hogan, the biggest and in recent times most controversial of all the wrestlers, and also dressed as Prince Puma, Ricochet's Lucha Underground alter ego. He's just the best. He ripped his t-shirt off, the pair of them did the Rock Hogan stare down. Someone on Reddit apparently pointed out that the whole first opening segments of the match are pretty much the same as Rock Hogan, which I haven't yet checked out yet. I haven't seen how similar they are, but if that's true, they're brilliant, those two lads. I love them. I'm nearly gonna cry. Wrestling's so cool, so beautiful, so pure. I cannot wait for Velveteen Dream to... I understand that this is a slow build and you've got to be patient, and he's consistently entertaining all the time, but my little wrestling fan heart just wants him to rocket up there. I want to see him as Universal Champion. I want him to destroy Brock Lesnar, man. He's that good, and he's so young, and I can't change that. I can't make his push be faster than it already is, so all I can do is give him 8 lovely points. Well done, Velveteen Dream. You are the essence of professional wrestling. This is a particularly cheesy one this week. I'm a bit happy because the sun's out and because football's coming home, I think. Number 2, a man who's been Wrestler of the Week twice before, I think, but hasn't managed it this week. He's only number 2. Jonathan Q Gargano. Big match Johnny Wrestling. Johnny Gargano. This match against Ciampa was excellent. I've seen people online say that it wasn't as good as the first one, and I'm inclined to agree. I thought the one at WrestleMania weekend was a little bit better, but this one was still very, very good, and some of the best storytelling I've ever seen in wrestling. And a huge part of that was obviously Mr. Gargano, who told a great story all the way through. It must be hard enough to do a professional wrestling match and just do the moves, but to do that and to act really well and really poignantly as well all the way through is just spectacular. He is fantastic. He is a future megastar if there's any justice in the World Wrestling Federation Entertainment. Gargano, from the moment, even before his entrance when Candice LeRae came up, gave him the crutch and went kick his ass, I was like, yes, I'm fully on board right now. Then there was the whole segment later on in the match. Once Ciampa had taken off the wedding ring, spat on it and threw it away, Gargano realised, and then in a fit of rage, almost, some people think he's turned. I don't think he's quite turned. I think he's just reacted. He went after Ciampa, who was being stretchered out, beat him up some more, and left himself open to ultimately lose the match. And it was great. I don't think he did turn. I think he just sort of momentarily, well, we'll find out, you know, but I think he momentarily became Ciampa, which was, of course, Ciampa's goal, to make Johnny embrace the hate, you know, that sort of thing. And does anyone derive sympathy from a crowd better than Johnny Gargano? I can't think of anyone at the moment on the main roster, apart from Lindsay Dorado on 205 Live, I guess, who's better at it than Johnny Gargano. I love you, Lindsay. You'll make it on the list again one day soon. And finally, number one, and my wrestler of the week, and a first-time wrestler of the week as well, but he has been one of the best heels in all of wrestling this year. You know who it is. It's Tommaso Ciampa. This is quite simply one of the best heel performances I think I've ever seen in wrestling, in a wrestling match, or at least in my recent memory, I guess, in the past few years, but surely longer than that. I think it's one of the best heel performances I've ever seen. Ciampa was so hateable, so brilliant in this match, and just... right, here's why Ciampa pips Gargano this week to be Wrestler of the Week. Not just because I've wanted to change it up a little bit and stop giving Gargano Wrestler of the Week. No, sir, no. But also, I thought of it like this, essentially, right? In the first match, the story was about Ciampa. You know, the story was about Ciampa being a horrible villain and Gargano trying to get revenge on him. And then, through getting his revenge on the biggest heel around, Gargano became the star of the match. He made it about himself. I think this one, you can look at it as the opposite way around. Essentially, you know, Ciampa wasn't the focus here. The focus was on Johnny this time, trying to further punish Ciampa. Will he turn heel? Will he, you know, let the darkness overcome him? But then Ciampa, through his performance, made it about himself, if that makes sense. Is that too contrived? Possibly a little. It sounded better on paper when I wrote it down, but now I'm just thinking it was just two excellent wrestling matches. But if there's any wrestling match I'm going to analyse in depth, like an essay, it's got to be these ones. The layers of storytelling were so good in both matches, and in this one I do think that Ciampa was the star. His facial expressions, his mannerisms, and also the fact that he took a horrible bump, like that bump off the top of the crate through the two tables. I was just like, hope he's okay. But he is okay, because he's gunning now for Aleister Black's NXT title. Come on, Tommaso. Not in a shaboom because he's a heel, but secretly, come on, Tommaso. So that's it for Wrestlers of the Week, but before I leave you, let's take a look at the old league table. So one of the big winners this week was Johnny Gargano, who's back up into 4th place after being overtaken the previous week by some pesky New Japan lads. Seth Rollins extends his lead over Omos slightly. Big Tommaso Ciampa moves level with Keith Lee, the man of the hour, just outside of the top 10. I fancy Ciampa to crack the top 10 very soon. Actually, I also fancy Keith Lee too, now that he's in NXT. Ricochet's up to 15th place, and Goto jumps up to 21st in his strong, diligent, calm, stoic fashion. Lovely. So there we have it. Tommaso Ciampa is your Wrestler of the Week. Well, my Wrestler of the Week. And I've given him to you. I've gifted him to the world. My name is Jack from Cultaholic.com. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic, and you can check out our Patreon too, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget to click subscribe and to join us.